Come with me. I'm headed down the right path. I feel so brave. My head held high and I'm showing class. Dreams ignited. Every day I truly give my best. I'm thriving excitedly to be the very best version of myself. I'm so bold and I'm so brilliant. I feel amazing. I feel so resilient. I'm so bold and I'm so brilliant. I'm so amazing. I feel so resilient.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Chundria Brownlow Show, where powerful stories meet real conversations. I'm your host, Dr. Chundria Brownlow, and I'm glad you're tuning in today. We're exploring emotional wellness, personal growth, and all kinds of transformational shifts that help us create healthier relationships with others and with ourselves. My guest today is no stranger to the show. Kenya Metoyer first joined in 2018 and again in 2019. And since then, her journey as a certified relationship and self-discovery coach has expanded in incredible ways. She's the heart behind Kenya's Keepsake, helping individuals and couples master emotional intelligence, resolve conflict, and reconnect with their true selves. From workshops and retreats to corporate wellness and community events, Kenya's mission is clear: to guide people toward meaningful relationships and lasting transformation. Let's welcome Kenya back to the show. Swire, welcome back to the Chundria Show. How are you today?
I am doing well, even better now that I am back here. Oh my God, this is home. This show is just home. So I am feeling great. What about yourself?
Oh, great. Thank you so much. Always grateful to see you. Always grateful to have you back. You know, you've been on the show, back in 2018 or my early days.
Yes.
Again in
Yes.
2019, we talked about a lot of
Yes.
things on the relationship
hmm
side, and so my curious first question for you is, how would you describe your personal evolution as a coach and a speaker? Since those earlier days.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for asking because I do often just go back to our old clips, and the evolution is crazy because we used to talk about healthy relationships, how to keep them, and we did one on tips for breaking up and the aftermath of that. And now it has shifted so much where it's not even about healthy relationships. So back then, I was the relationship coach who focused on healthy relationships and maintaining them. So now I am a self discovery relationship coach. And now I focus on helping individuals unlearn and relearn relationship skills through healing, because a healthy relationship, I cannot touch on that if you have not done the work for yourself. So that evolution came after COVID and just seeing what people were on now. And that's where I am now. So self-discovery and healing is what I'm all about.
I really love that because I feel like that the lane, there's so much traffic in the relationship space. It's like
Yes.
everybody wants to give you tips about, a healthy relationship, like your romantic relationships, but everybody on this planet is a human all by themselves. We came in this world
Yes.
by ourselves, and I'm so grateful that, obviously I'm pretty sure you still touch on those types
hmm
of romantic relationships, but I find it so special that you focus on the person as an individual and not who their
Yes.
connection is to their romantic involvements. And like now, your brand's focusing on emotional intelligence and self discovery
hmm
and personal wellness. So, what was the turning point that led for you to focus more deeply on these particular types of things?
hmm Again, I know it might sound repetitive with a lot of people, but COVID was the turning point for me because that's when people really had to learn themselves, learn who they were with, and again, not just your intimate partner. When I say relationships, people be like, "Oh, relationship coach, I don't want that." That was another pivotal moment for me as well. When I would tell people what I do, and at that point, it shifted from, "Oh, I need you to, oh, I don't want to be in a relationship." No. And I'm like, hold on, you have a relationship with your coworker, your mother. I mean, me and the parental room wounds go deep when it comes to my clients because again, that's where it circles back to your romantic relationship. So that's when I had to shift after COVID because no one wanted a healthy relationship anymore. No one knew who they were after COVID, who their partner was, who anybody was. So I was like, we need to self discover. We need to heal from everything that just happened.
Like people better nurture their romantic relationships. So I feel like this is my personal opinion that I don't know that people really need as much relationship coaching as they do the lane that you're in now, because when you have that affinity for somebody, that relationship with somebody, whether it be your spouse or your best friend or your mom or whomever, like that person, you kind of fight for it. You fight to make sure like it's good. But then when there are these people that you don't know, for example, like your coworker who you can't get along with, you know, and you're just like, you're set in your ways, that person's set in their ways. I don't like them, they don't like me, or we can't agree, or you don't like the manager, or you don't like the director, or whatever that is, like whatever that person that you don't have that special affinity to, like that piece right there has to be so like personal to you, because it's like you and I may not get along, but I have to like be true to who I am. I have to be true to my integrity, my spirit, how I handle things, how I carry myself. And that is something that we do not get to practice enough. We do not get to practice conflict resolution enough. And I know one of your signature topics is
Yes, this
mastering conflict
conflict.
resolution. So what would you say,
Yes.
what do most people misunderstand about conflict and relationships, especially those
hmm
that you don't have a special connection to?
hmm Is that conflict doesn't have to have a negative connotation to it. Conflict is something that we do every day, but people put so much negative connotation onto it that it becomes defensive. A conflict doesn't have to be argumentative. And that's what people miss. When it comes to a head, right, they automatically think that it has to blow and explode. So that's why I teach the five different conflict resolution styles because everyone doesn't know their style. And when you automatically jump to a defense, you think you have to fight. And that's not how you have to do it. So that's what people miss. And that's what I really want people to understand too, is that there is a healthy solution to everything. There's a peaceful solution to everything.
Tell me how understanding those five conflict resolutions, understanding
Mhm.
those styles helped you prevent the blow up. Get to it before
How
it
it
gets
helps.
crazy, before it gets bad. Uh-huh.
Because again, knowing yourself, you first have to recognize it. So with every workshop that I do, with everyone that I talk to, I have them do a conflict resolution style quiz because you just don't know. A lot of people like to self-diagnose, myself included. I used to self-diagnose all the time, right? And so everyone believes that they just handle conflict in the most effective way. No matter what it is, the most assertive one, because that's the most effective one, is the assertive style. That is the most effective one, but to someone who is passive aggressive, it might seem defensive, right? And so what I teach is I have you identify yours, but I also show you how to work with the other ones in the room so that it doesn't have to blow up.
I like that. I like that a lot because
hmm
I think that we could get ourselves out of the hot water sometimes, and then also too takes that pressure off, like you said, just because it's a conflict. The conflict is mean that we don't agree. It doesn't mean that we have to
hmm
come to blows
Yes.
about it, or not be able to come what we came to do, which is if that's
hmm
to work, or if that's to
Right.
co-parent, or if that's to work on a
hmm
project together, like whatever the thing is, mastering that understanding. So I really appreciate
hmm
that. Let's talk
Thank you.
about.
I
Let's talk
also think,
about.
let me tell you one
Uh
more
huh.
thing. I also
Sure.
think that people miss that conflict isn't about winning. It's about the solution. So a lot of people, when you get into that competitive style, it's about trying to win on your side, but the house is still burning down. Right? You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? So, like, no, the solution is to stop the flames from burning down the house, no matter how, but you want to win at your way of doing it, and the house is still burning.
Hmm.
And so I think that that's the most important too.
Which goes to the next point. You speak about understanding self as foundational. What are the first steps someone should take to begin that internal journey of understanding self?
Is that you could definitely relearn from your environment. That is the first step. It's so many people that just believe that the way they were raised, the way that they are, the way that they've seen it repetitively in their own circle is the way. And when you are afraid of not just change, because change can be so complex, when you're afraid of evolution, when you're afraid of seeing something different, especially when it's not working for you, then that's when you're going to get stuck. So the first step is to be, and I would have used open minded, but that just seems so broad, right? Open minded, because it's so crazy. I throw out these words, but I always say the definitions are different from everybody because everybody thinks they're open minded, right? No one walks around and says, "Oh, I'm a closed minded person. I'm a closed minded person." Everybody thinks they're open minded. So the first step is really just recognizing in yourself that your environment is not the only way.
Absolutely true. I feel like with like uncovering that or mastering that is there feels like a lot of assumptions sometimes. Like for
Mm-hmm.
example, like if you've had five bad bosses, and so when you get to the sixth one, you're
Yes.
assuming that that boss is going to be terrible too, or you've been in
Mm-hmm.
three relationships that ended poorly, they didn't lead to
Yes.
marriage, it didn't into what have you, or it didn't lead to forever. So then when you get to the next one, it's kind of
Yes.
like those assumptions that we made. How can we work on unlearning that, those making those
Mm-hmm.
assumptions, because they really not only do they impact us, but they impact the relationships that we have with other people. I know that's a big component of what your workshops and how you talk about
Mm-hmm.
self-discovery and personal wellness.
Yes, and of course, I am never going to tell anyone that, oh, just yeah, go into it without the experience. That was the old thing. No, once you see a pattern, you are like, hold on, this is the way of the world. What's going on, right? But what I would do is I would always tell people and my clients is to look at the patterns, and that's when you start to insert yourself without blame or shame. I think a lot of people think that rediscovery or is like checking yourself or blaming yourself for something wrong or beating yourself up. We really have to stop beating ourselves up, right? When we talk to ourselves. I talk to myself all the time. And it's not even a beating up, whether it's in the mirror, rapping to myself, talk affirmations. It's not a mean thing. If you don't want the world to speak mean to you, don't speak mean to yourself, right? And so when you start to see those five bosses, right? And then think of it like this. Okay, why am I in that position? I've had five bosses because it could be something as simple as the industry, right? It could be something as simple as it's not your passion and it's a personality clash. I've been even in my corporate world, I've had some personality clashes, but I've also went to and I'm like, okay, what is it? And once I recognized that, when I started interviewing more, when they start really asking the questions, what are you looking for in an environment? You have to be honest with yourself and not just go for the short term, I need a job. Now, this is just one broad, but if you take these into everyday life situations, then it was still coming back to you to where you lead the way.
For sure. Then you also have an approach to women's mood mastery. What do you want women to know
Mhm.
about emotional regulation and balance?
Yeah, so that actually came from my own experience, and I speak on this across the world on stages because it came from my own experience when I was unhappy. I still had to go to work in corporate, and I was in school full time. I still had to show up, right? But what I want women to understand is that it's not the whole strong independent thing. Let's let that go. It's really about what you're doing in that time. It's not about, again, blaming yourself, staying in a situation, having an attitude, walking around, letting yourself go, lashing out on your children, lashing out on your coworker, because we know as women, oh, If one thing is over, don't talk to me. I don't even want to be here. I'm gonna sit in my car and sing for a minute. Jesus, right? Uh, but it can all definitely be worked out through controlling your mood and managing it, but having a plan in the background. I think that that's what we miss. You know, as women, we carry the attitudes. We just want a solution. You getting on my nerves? Stop it. But no, let's work on the plan while because good things come to what do they say? You catch more bees with honey than vinegar, right? So, ladies, us managing our moods, think about it. When we have an attitude, that's the angry black woman. Oh, it must be that time of the month or anything else like that. We don't want that. And then we don't want that. We want to try to manage our moods so that the good energy can come to us naturally.
I appreciate your transparency on that, especially navigating difficult periods where it's like you said, at the end of the day, I have to show up. I have to be where I'm
Yes.
supposed to be. Responsibilities. Don't care if I'm in the
Hmm.
mood or not. And that's something I always say. I always say you don't have to be motivated to take action. And I say that a lot, especially like to my niece, how my niece that's in her 20s, or I say like
Hmm.
you can't fall apart at every inconvenience because that's not how life works. Like you still have to keep
Yes.
going. You still have to push through. You may not like it, you may not feel like it, but you still have to get up and go. And so I appreciate
Hmm.
that teachable moment and that honest reflection that you
Yes.
have. So,
Oh,
your
and I'm
work.
gonna hold on. Let me continue to
Okay,
be honest
come
just a
on.
little bit. It's
That's
still
okay. Come on.
happening to this day. It's
Uh-huh.
literally still happening to this day. You know, I go live, I go out. I'm a part of a sorority. We have events. Almost every event I do not want to go to. I am going to tell you 95% of the events I do not want to go to. 95% of the time I do not want to get ready to get on this camera and go live. But when I do it, as soon as I show up to that event, I'm the first one on the dance floor. They can't get me off. Where's the food? I'm hugging everybody and I can't wait. But just an hour ago, I did not. I was dreading, right? But you have to show up. You have to show up. And like I said, that energy just flows back to you, ladies. I'm telling you, every time I get on live, I don't always want to put a lip gloss on. I don't want to do it. But when I push that button and my audience comes in and we start chatting, I'm just so happy that I went. Yes, show up, ladies. And then I'm telling you, that mindset is going to come to where you are just going to feel amazing.
Now you got a little gem for the ladies. You also have something for the
Yes.
men. Ego to reflection. How do you help men bridge that gap without feeling judged or defensive? We didn't leave you out, guys.
Oh, no, not at all. And I'm gonna tell you, I love my fellas. I love that is another part of the evolution for Kenya's keepsake too. Within the last 2 years, it has definitely been focused on my guys. Every Friday, I do Fellas Friday because it's your mental, your physical, your emotional. It's so built up, right? And it comes from the ego. And what I mean by that is that because all of my fellas life, man up. That's an ego thing. Don't do this. Don't. You have to do this. You should. That builds the ego. That feeds the ego. So then you get all these people around you as you go. And now you're older and you're dealing with life and life is life in you. And you're dealing with women who's just like, I'm here, like, so, and then we're not going to even touch on the health right now because all of it leads up to it. So, what I do is I make sure that my fellas are heard every Friday. Well, every day, really, but Friday is just for them because they feel that women don't listen to them, they are unheard. And if I had $1 for every time a fella told me, like, why should I care? No one cares about me. No one checks on me. I'm like, well, I'm checking on you. It's me right here. But it just sucks that they feel that. But that goes back to what you were saying earlier is that after five women, after, five experience where you feel like you're nothing and you're being disrespected as a man, you're just gonna walk around like that. I make it my business to make sure that the fellas are heard. I give them tips every single Friday, whether it's emotional tips, physical tips. We touch on high blood pressure, stroke, everything, but even the emotional. I know a lot of guys feel like they can't speak out to women. They just cannot be vulnerable. Vulnerability is really good. But I tell them all the time, just be careful with your oversharing. I really want guys to understand that you have to also not just test the woman, but test anyone that you're oversharing to. Are they, give them a little bit at a time. So therefore you won't feel so attacked when you find out that that person that you overshare with wasn't, worthy of the oversharing, if that makes sense. So it's things like that that I try to give my fellas. But I also, last thing is, that's why I started my podcast, The Keepsake Corner. I only interview my fellas, period, because I want them to have a space that's uninterrupted. Their discussion, I barely interrupt them when they have discussions because it's about the male perspective. When I have my monthly in-person mixers, that's for everybody. And I tell you, my ladies will interrupt my fellas at the drop of a dime. And I'm like, shh, let them speak, let them cook, like they say. I'll tell you, my girls will just be like, huh? What? Girl, did you hear? I'm like, hey. But we love it. It's always good dialogue. But here at the Keepsake Corner on the podcast, fellas uninterrupted. And my ladies really just get to hear how they feel. And in that way, we can understand how to love them better. And I'm not just, again, not talking to intimate relationships. We need to love on our fellas in a way that they feel, and I know the big word is safe, but they feel safe to go out in the world and fight the other battles that have nothing to do with this gender here. Because for some reason they feel like their biggest battle is with women, and I don't like it because the black man or any man battle should not be with the woman. Right? It should be with the world. It should be with everything else that we're dealing with. And so I want us to learn how to just love each other, not learn each other. I think that's the other big misconception is that we need to understand how each other feels and operates. We're never going to do that. We're never. Let's just stick with the men are logical, women are emotional. It is what it is. Now, the balance and the percentage, that's something that we can definitely talk about. But it is what it is. Let's just understand how to love each other in where we are so that we can fight the world.
I love how you give them like whole body experiences, 360 experiences. They're not only their health and wellness, not only the emotional part, but then also too, you're still out here giving great relationship advice. So let's not get it twisted, right? So, what
Yes.
advice do you have for couples or even individuals that might feel stuck in their outdated relationship patterns? We talked about this. Like, I've been with 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people. It hasn't panned out. I'm good. I'm not interested. I can see red flags a mile away. Sometimes we think red flags are red. It may not even be red. It may be you that's red. We don't know, So, what
Yes.
advice do you find yourself giving when people are in those outdated patterns?
Negotiables and non-negotiables. That is it. I will preach that from day one to day 100 to day keepsake
You
1000.
said that in
Negotiable.
2019.
Yes. Listen, because the standards, the expectations, throw those away, get them off the table. What are your negotiables and your non-negotiables? Because that is what is in you and that is what's going to carry you for the rest of your life. Expectations, standards, all of those things can waver. They can change. You don't know evolution. You don't know what's going to happen. We didn't know COVID was going to happen. So standards and expectations had to shift. We didn't know this presidency was going to happen. Standards and expectations of evolution had to shift. Those things shift. Your negotiables and non-negotiables should not. Right? So that is the number one thing. People are staying connected to each other because of children, finances, short-term chemistry, or honestly believing that there's no one else out there. The amount of times I've heard somebody that just doesn't want to start over. I know them. People are weird out there. So you rather stay with your weirdo. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because you're so afraid of the other weirdos that are out there, right? So people just stay and they rather suffer. And I had to tell a client the other day, I was like, okay, think about it this way. Which you're in the same amount of time span, but you're choosing this energy instead of this one. You know, the energy that you are spending with this person and you are unhappy and you are complaining and you're saying you don't want to find nobody else, you know, because you're dealing with this, that same, let's just say 3 month span, you could have switched that energy. And in that same 3 month span, you could have, you know what I mean? So people are just really walking in fear and scarcity right now.
So much and so fervently and so passionately pour into your clients. You pour in even strangers. I mean, it sounds like you've helped people in random stores. Like you just pour of yourself, you know. So as a coach, you know, what personal practices keep you grounded and focused and emotionally well yourself? Because you're pouring out so much. How do you fill your cup back up?
First and foremost, I want to give a shout out to my daughter. My daughter is 22 years old, and I don't like saying she's like a mini me or split me because she is her own person, but we have the same. She keeps me grounded. Like, you know, I'm not even gonna say the roles has changed or anything, but having a 22-year-old daughter really keeps me level head. I'm gonna shout out to her. That's number one. Number two, same family support system. I have a really great support system around me that supports me. My brother, my dad, my aunt, everybody shows up for me in that space, whether they need to do a show, a podcast, be in the background. But lastly, I really want people to understand is that everything you see that I post, I read it myself. I am not just a what they say and going about my business. I do the work with you guys. I have a community. I call it the Keepsake headquarters, but it is just a community that sits there that's outside of social media that houses everything that I talk about. It's kind of like a school community for the keepsakes and relationships. But before I give you an assignment, before I put anything, I do it with you guys. There are challenges that I make sure I do everything because they work. They work for me, they work for you. And again, it's not generalized. Although the questions might be generalized, my answer is going to be something different than yours. And then we get to explore that. So I want people to know I'm not just out here posting for the gram or Insta just to see what y'all going to do. I'm with y'all.
Well, I'm excited about everything that you've done, everything you're doing, and what's on the horizon that we haven't even seen yet, all the new programs, the events you've got coming up, and all your amazing initiatives. But before we wrap up today, do you mind answering a few lightning round questions for me?
Of course.
All right. First one. What's one personal keepsake that reminds you of your purpose? That's it for today's episode of the Chundria Show. I hope you found inspiration in today's conversation and that it sparked a moment of reflection for you. Remember, emotional wellness isn't just a goal, it's a lifestyle. So be sure to subscribe, leave a comment, and share this episode with someone who needs it. Until next time, I'm Dr. Chundria Brownlow. Stay grounded, stay inspired, and take care of your heart.
Come with me, I'm headed down the right path. I feel so brave, my head held high and I'm showing class. Dreams ignited, every day I truly give my best. I'm thriving excitedly to be the very best version of myself. I'm so bold and I'm so brave.